no problem. So we continue with Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and last time we started new Siman 56, and our topic was an error in blessing. Okay, so we start with C of 2, and whoever is following us, it's page 252. C of 2. And it says, if one erred and recited the blessing Borei HaAdamah, so we're talking about errors, right? HaAdamah, who created the fruit of the ground, on the fruit of the tree, or if both the fruit of the fruit and the vegetables were before him, and he erred and recited Borei HaAdamah blessing on the vegetable first, and he intended to exempt thereby the fruit of the tree, he has fulfilled his requirement for the blessing for the fruit of the tree, because the fruit, because the tree also draws its nourishment from the ground. Let's stop here and let's do it again with commentaries, and we're going to explain. So it's a very interesting situation, right? One more time. If one erred and recited blessing Borei HaAdamah, who created the fruit of the ground on the fruit of the tree. So a person had apple and banana, right? So he said Borei HaAdamah on apple. Okay, so that's our situation. So commentaries say the halachas of blessing Borei HaEitz, who created the fruit of the tree, and Borei HaAdamah, who created the fruit of the ground, set forth in Siman 52. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we covered that. Okay, so on apple he was supposed to say the fruit of the tree, but he said the fruit of the ground. Okay, so that's first situation. So after the fact, person is not allowed to say another blessing, because after the fact, as we said, the statement is not false statement. It is the tree is getting nourishment from the ground. So, and this apple is you can say Borei HaAdamah. Okay, continue. So that's one scenario. Second one, or both fruits or both a fruit and a vegetables were before him. So again, our situation, this banana and apple. Commentary. Or even if the fruit was not before him. Mishnah Brura, okay, 267. We have used the term vegetable here when referring to the anything upon which a proper blessing Borei HaAdamah, who creates the fruit of the ground. The halachas outlined at length in Siman 52. Okay. This commentary does not add anything. Okay, so I apologize for confusion. So again, the situation is he has apple, he has banana in front of him, and he erred and said that he said the blessing Borei HaAdamah blessing on the vegetable first. So he said a blessing upon banana, even though in this Siman 52 we said that it's proper to say the blessing on the apple first, eat even one bite, small bite, then say blessing on banana, eat banana. So because they're in different blessing categories, so you are required to say one blessing, two separate blessing, one for each category, right? But person start with a category of vegetables, and he intended to exempt thereby fruits of the tree. So, and whatever this person did is not proper. So because in different category, separate categories, but after the fact, and because he had this special intention, so it is covered, right? So he fulfilled his requirement of the blessing on the fruit of the tree. So another scenario is not here, but I just wanted to add another scenario. So, but if he said the blessing on a banana, because he likes banana better than apple, or not even likes, so because he wants to eat banana, or apple second. Okay, maybe a little later. So there is no problem whatsoever. So this blessing upon banana, Borei Pri Banana, does not cover apple. Does not. So even though we said it's not proper because person can get confused, but after the fact there is no problem. You can switch the order. Okay, right? Even though it's not recommended, but it's not prohibited. Let's put it this way. But this person he said that blessing on a banana and intended to include our apple. So of course the apple is included. So he has fulfilled his requirement for the blessing on the fruit of the tree. Okay, meaning our apple, because the tree also draws the nourishment from the ground. Okay. So let me quickly read. I don't want to confuse it because this commentaries doesn't. Do not add anything. So okay, we're not going to read this commentary because that's what we said in different words. Okay, so that's it. Continue. But if one recites Borei Pri HaEitz, who created the fruit of the tree on vegetables, he has not fulfilled his obligation. Okay, so this is even after the fact. He said Borei Pri HaEitz, fruit of the tree on a banana. So the blessing is not good, must do another blessing. So it's like a different scenario. I would say like in order not to us to get confused. So only a person had only banana, only intention to eat banana. So and said Borei Pri HaEitz it does not work. Commentary: Borei Pri HaEitz blessing totally inappropriate for a vegetable or the like that grows from the ground. Okay. Even if one recited HaEitz on a fruit of the tree, whose trunk does not survive the winter. Okay. He has not fulfilled his obligation, since such a fruit is considered to be fruit of the ground and not tree. So just to quickly explain the definition of the tree, something that it has a trunk, or doesn't matter how thick it is, right? But it survives the tree. So but basically, most of the bushes, like berries, right? They all, if they higher than 3 tefachim, tefach is like a feast, higher than 3 tefachim, it's considered to be tree. But banana palm is considered to be not tree, right? It's very interesting. So the definition of the tree is something that has a trunk and that survives the winter. Okay. However, one who recites HaEitz on a fruit that does grow from the tree does not subject to the Borei Pri HaEitz because it is not sufficiently developed. One who recites HaEitz on a fruit that does grow on a tree but is not subject to Borei Pri HaEitz because it's not sufficiently developed or is not primary fruit of the tree, has fulfilled his obligation. We did not. I don't think we learned it, but maybe we did. I don't remember. So, but what it says here, if fruit is undeveloped, so it's still very sour. So I mean it's edible, but it's not ripened yet. So you say Shehakol on it. You don't say Borei Pri HaEitz. You say Shehakol, right? And if it's inedible to the extent that it's bad for you, and that's what we used to eat when we were kids, so you don't say any blessing at all because it's like a poison. Like as Rambam said, it's like it's like he said it's like a sword that pierces through your body. That's how he characterized this undeveloped fruit. Okay. So, but here Mishnah Brura says that after the fact, if he said says Borei Pri HaEitz on these undeveloped fruits, which is very sour. So after the fact, even though it's not correct blessing, but after the fact, you don't need to repeat any blessing. Okay, that's what it says here. I mean, some commentary, I'm not sure why would they put that, but some was very, very, very informative. Continue. Therefore, if one is in doubt with regard to the fruit in double quotes, whether it is halachically considered fruit or vegetables, with regard to the proper blessing, and it is impossible for him to clarify the matter in any way, he should recite Borei Pri HaAdamah, blessing upon it. Okay, so Shulchan Aruch actually says in a section when he discussed this blessing, he said, so if you do not know what blessing to make on the food, don't eat it. Like clear as it is. Don't do like people do after the fact. Oh, I did not know what blessing to make, so I did not make blessing. So if you do not know what blessing to make, don't eat it. Go ask Rabbi. Go ask somebody who knows. Right? And today it's very simple. If you know like what's the name of the food, go and check on internet. There are some websites, reliable websites, when they have a blessing, what a blessing to make on the fruit, or even if you don't want to rely on those websites, just look at the pictures, how this fruit growing. Is it growing from the ground or from the tree? Okay, so but Shulchan Aruch Kitzur says if you do not know, but for sure it's from the tree or from the ground. So and there is nobody to ask. So after the fact, you can say Borei Pri HaAdamah, so meaning the fruit of the ground. So for sure it's going to cover the fruit of the tree, but after the fact, of course. Commentary. This applies whether this doubt is based on a lack of knowledge regarding the botanic particulars of the fruit, or due to the established halachic doubt as to correct blessing. If, however, his doubt because of he did not study the laws of blessing, he may not exempt himself Borei Pri HaAdamah blessing, and is required required to seek clarification as to the correct blessing before he eats. See Shulchan Aruch 2:6:1, Mishnah Brura, etc., etc. So if there is a halachic doubt, so I give you one example that came to my mind. Halachic doubt, raspberry. So on raspberry, like technically, it's much higher than 3 tefachim, right? It survived trunks for sure. It survived the winter, and technically, the correct blessing would be Borei Pri HaEitz on raspberry. But I would say just say Borei Pri HaAdamah. Raspberry is an exception. Okay, so I'm not sure if somebody says opposite, like Borei Pri HaEitz. I'm not sure about raspberry. I never looked into it. So, but in this case of the doubt, so you can say after the fact. After the fact, you say Borei Pri HaAdamah, like to go according to all of the some opinions lechatchila and some opinion b'diavad. Okay, but otherwise, if you do not know because you did not learn, you're not allowed to eat it. Go ask a question. Okay, very interesting. Any questions on what we said? Okay, so if not, so we continue. Number 3, regarding one who erred and recited Borei Pri HaEitz on wine. If he remember immediately, he should say within Kidei Dibur, the time of the utterance, Borei Pri HaGefen. If, however, he did not remember immediately, he has fulfilled his obligation after the fact. Okay. So it's very interesting halacha. So let's see one more time, and we're going to explain why he derived this conclusion. Okay, so one more time. Regarding one who erred and recited Borei Pri HaEitz on wine. So, person said fruit of the tree on wine. So technically, the wine is a tree, right? It grows from the ground, and it's higher than 3 tefachim, even though it rests on other wood, but it does not make any difference if it's a reliant support of something else, does not make any difference, and it's for sure survive the winter. So technically, it's a wine tree, right? So it is tree, right? But our sages established that on wine we said special, separate blessing because of the importance of wine. We say barapricha gefen, right? But person said by mistake barapricha HaEitz. If he remember immediately, he should say within kidei dibur. So kidei dibur is a time to say Shalom Aleichem Rebbe. So some say Shalom Aleichem Rebbe Amori. So right, meaning it's approximately like 1.5 to 2 seconds. Okay. So it's the translation: peace upon you, my master. Okay. So somebody say the Amori, so meaning like another half a second. So but let's say 2 seconds. So if a person like remember realize in 2 seconds that he made a mistake, so he finished with the Borei Pricha Gefen. So he said Baruch. Okay. So he said Borei Pricha HaEitz, Borei Pricha Gefen. So I mean, do not start the blessing from the beginning, as we said in one of the answers on after at the end of the class, right? So don't say the blessing from the beginning, because beginning was absolutely correct. The only problem was with the end. So he said Borei Pricha HaEitz, right? He had realized that he said the wrong blessing, so Borei Pricha Gefen. If, however, he did not remember immediately, so meaning 2.5, 3 seconds passed, he has fulfilled his obligation after the fact. Because as we said, like after the fact, wine is actually the fruit of the tree, right? So after the fact, like it's actually when you say that we have to give a coin and Leib, all of this truma and maser, it's actually not from grapes and not from olives. It's actually from wine and from olive oil, because olive oil and wine are more important than fruits themselves, than grapes and olives. Okay, so after the fact, no problem. Continue. Number 4. Regarding any food item, even bread or wine, if he ate and recited Shehakol blessing, he fulfilled his obligation. So Shehakol blessing, Shehakol nichayev b'dvaroi, meaning through whose word everything came into existence, right? I mean, no, it's through whose words everything came to be. Okay, into existence. That doesn't matter. I mean, same meaning, right? After the fact, it's you can say it's about bread. You can say about fish. You can say about olives, right? Doesn't matter. Of course, it's not correct, but after the fact, no need to say another blessing. So if person says Shehakol on any food, of course it's not proper, but after the fact, no problem. So commentary. Kitzur, so he said, see above Siman 50. So now it's 56. I think we talk about fruits there. 50. Kitzur explained there that this holds true only after the fact. Initially, one may not do this. Okay, I mean, okay, we said many times, don't do that. Okay, according to the opinion cited by Mishnah Brura, CBR Chala 167.10, one who recites Baremine Mizoines on any food other than water and salt has fulfilled his obligation and is not required to recite the proper blessing before eating it. Rabbi Moshe finds in Zatzal advises that since this is valid only after the fact, one who did this should refrain from eating more than a single mouthful. He has mouthful until he has opportunity to leave his place in a manner that would require him to recite new blessing. Igras Moshe, Orachaim 4, chapter 40. Okay, so Kitzur says, and we said it a few times before, if you say Shehakol on any food, after the fact, no problem. right? But Mishnah Brura goes further and said, if you say Borei Minei Mizoines, what is the translation? Who create the foods that satiate? So basically, any all of the foods technically they satiates. Like say, if you eat apple, you were hungry. You ate 3 apples, or how many apples you ate, so you're not as hungry. Maybe you're in full for some time. So it is food that satiates only after the fact, right? Exception only the water. So water usually does not satiate, and salt. Even though people eat salt, they like to eat salt, but usually they don't eat it separate, and salt does not satiate. Maybe it brings up pleasure, but does not satiate. Okay, so after the fact, if he says barem and emizonis on anything besides salt and water, no problem. But Moshe Feinstein said eat the minimum. So because you already said the blessing, eat the minimum, and then make sure that you interrupt this blessing. And how do you interrupt your blessing? You go outside, right? Outside, not to another room because it's not going to work, but outside of your house, your apartment building, you cross the street, walk around the block. So for sure, this would interrupt your blessing, and you come back, and then you say new blessing. This time, correct blessing. Okay. Well, continue. Any questions on what we said? Okay. Continue. So it's all of this very, very important stuff. So a person who is not organized has to know much more than a person who is organized and paying attention to what he or she doing. Okay. So number 5. Remainder of this year discusses the halachic halacha regarding one who erred, whose error was based on mistake with regard to identity of the food upon which the blessing is recited. Okay, so it should be very involved. So let's see. Although ideally, when one begins recite the blessing, he must take care not to have intent for appropriate blessing for the item upon which he recites the blessing. Nevertheless, after the fact, if he erred in his intent, the blessing is valid. For example, if he took a cup in hand, thinking that it contains wine, and he began to recite the blessing based on assumption that it is wine, but before reciting the blessing, he realized that it is water or beer. Okay. And he concluded the blessing with words Shehakol nihiya bedveroi, which is appropriate blessing for water or beer. He has fulfilled. He is not required to recite the blessing again. Okay. So let's summarize this halacha. I'm not going to read second time because it's very straightforward. So a person intend to say one blessing, right? And it's proper. It's proper before you say any blessing, as we learned before, to stop for a second, split of second, so a second, and acknowledge what blessing I'm going to say. Take the food into your right hand, or for example, if it's something like rice or spaghetti, put it on your fork or your salad. Don't play with the fork after that, right? So prepare the food, whatever you're going to eat. Say think what blessing you're going to make, concentrate, and then make blessing and eat right away. So the best procedure is to eat a few seconds, 2 seconds later. So that's, it's nothing out of ordinary, but if it's not on your fork and now you start playing with the salad, and this cucumber is running around in your plate, so it's not proper. Okay. So now this person thought there is wine. So I would say maybe white wine. So not a red wine. How can you take red wine for water? Okay, that's a different story. But I assume there is a white wine. So that's what he thought. But then he realized that it's water, right? So he finished with or beer. I don't know how. Maybe Also, white wine. So white wine is not exactly white, right? They little yellowish, I would say, right? So to take it for beer, yeah, possible. Maybe he smelled a little, right? So he thought it's wine, but then he smelled that it's actually was a beer. So okay, I mean, for me it makes sense, right? And he concluded, but Shehakol nichiyah, so there is no problem, right? Because even though the intent was not correct initially, but he corrected himself at the end, no problem. Okay, continue. For on account of this error in intent, one is not required to repeat the blessing. Okay. And certainly if he's erred in opposite way, that is, he thought that it contained beer or water, and he began to recite the blessing with intent to say Shehakol. But before he said the word Shehakol, he realized that it is wine, and he concluded with his words Borepricho Geffen. The law is that he has fulfilled his obligation, right? In this case, the blessing is certainly valid, for even if he would have concluded according to his original intent, Shehakol nichiyah b'dvoroi, he would have fulfilled his obligation. Okay, so it's now it's like the case is opposite, which is very interesting as well. Right, so first we said that a person's intent in this specific area and this specific situation is not important, but in all other, not all, I don't know, in many others areas of halacha, the intent is very, very important, and it affects the whole halacha, right? It changes everything around. So continue. So okay, so now the case opposite way. So he thought that it contains beer or water. So he was he intended to say Shehakol, but then he realized that it is wine. He ended up with a correct blessing Borepricho Geffen. So even though his intention was not correct, as in the first case, no problem. So he finished with the correct blessing. But even if he would not finish with correct blessing, still no problem, because he would say Shehakol on the wine. So as we said after the fact, Shehakol covers wine, right? Because the Shehakol translation is by whose word everything came to be. Yes, including wine for sure. Okay. Next one, number 6. In fact, the same ruling applies, even if if he concluded the entire blessing in error, but he remembered within the Kidei Dibur, and he corrected his words. So Kidei Dibur again is like 1 to 2 seconds. Okay. For example, if he took cup of water or beer in hand, thinking this is wine. This was wine, and recited the entire blessing Borepricho Geffen on it, and immediately he realized that it was beer or water, and concluded with blessing with Shehakol nichiyah b'dvoroi, such that his words were follows: Borepricho Geffen, Shehakol nichiyah b'dvoroi. So one after another, as we said, he has fulfilled his obligation. So person were starting to say, so he said he thought it is wine, but then realized that it was actually beer. So let's say he thought it's a white wine, which is, we said, a little yellowish, and beer also like light beer. Also it's also, I guess, a little yellowish. So looks color the same, or close at least. So, and then he realized, I guess he smelled that it was actually beer. He changed, he corrected himself, like added correct blessing, Borepricho Geffen, and initially said, and then right away say Shehakol nichiyah b'dvoroi. But again, you have only 2 seconds. So if you say like 3 seconds later, 4 seconds later, that's it. So it's like you spoke between the blessing and between the blessing and the action. So in this case, you would need to say the blessing again. So that was blessing in vain. In some cases, it would be fine, like after the fact, right? In one of the examples, as we said, if he was saying by mistake, he thought there is beer and he was saying Shehakol, right? He was saying Shehakol but then he realized that it is wine, right? And let's say it took him like 3 seconds, 4 seconds to realize. So he said Shehakol Nikiyat Bidveroy and then Barapricho Geffen. So that's it. So it's like he spoke between blessing and the action. So the blessing is cancelled, because if he would not speak, he would fulfill his obligation. But because he spoke past this time Kidei Dibur, so he actually ruined everything. So we have to be very, very careful. Remember this rule of 2 seconds. So let me quickly check time. 1 second. Wow, time flies so fast. Okay, so we'll finish. Number 7. But if in above case, if he did not realize it was wine in a cup within time Kidei Dibur, he must recite the blessing Shehakol anew, as if he wishes to drink cup of water or beer. 1 second. Oh, okay. So all right. So one more time we're going to read, and I'm going to explain. If in above case, so above case was beer. Let's say it was beer in a cup, but he thought there is actually white wine, and he said Borepricho Geffen. So of course the beer is not covered by Borepricho Geffen, right? Even after the fact. So, and he did not realize in these 2 seconds. So he must recite this Shehakol blessing again. And I knew it's not a new. I mean, he said a new, but it's like a separate blessing. If he wishes to drink this cup of water or beer. Okay, so if he did not want to wish to drink, that's it. Okay. So continue. If at the time he erroneously recited the Borei Pricha Geffen blessing, he intended to drink other wine as well, he should take wine immediately drink it, so that the blessing should not be recited in vain. So that's a very interesting scenario, but it's not so simple. So this wine must be in front of him, so he cannot just go to his wine closet or something to get the wine. That wine for sure is not covered. So if wine was like somewhere in front of him on a table, and he said the wrong blessing, so he's allowed to take from this wine. And in this case, just to remind us, the pause with the silence is not considered to be interruption, because this pause was for the sake of the blessing. Okay, for the sake of the meal. So that's not a problem. Okay. So commentary. According to Mishnah Berurah 209.8, if there is wine in front of him, even if he did not have a specific intention to drink more, he should drink some of the wine without reciting new blessing. Okay. So that's very interesting, Mishnah Berurah. Very interesting. So I'm going to read again. We're going to explain. If there is a wine in front of him, even if he did not have specific intention to drink more, he should drink some of the wine without reciting new blessing. That's language a little confusing. Like straightforward example. So I'll try to explain this commentary as I understand. But straightforward example, he thought that there is wine because the wine was in front of him, the bottle was in front of him, and he thought there is wine in his cup, and he said Borei Pricha Geffen, and it was actually beer, right? So after the fact, before it started drinking, he smelled and he understood it's beer, so he put it down, quiet, silent, right? And he opened the bottle of wine, poured himself wine, and drank wine, there is no problem. But if he already drank wine, and he said another blessing, that's the way how I understand this Mishnah Brura. I mean, it's a little confusing. Why would you say two blessings on the same drinking? I'm not sure. So one more time, this Mishnah Brura. If there is wine in front of him, even if he did not have specific intention to drink more. So this word more is a little confusing. I'm not sure what does it mean. He should drink some of the wine without reciting new blessing. Okay. Okay, so let's leave it as that. If he had the wine, he did not say make a blessing on the wine. He can be silent and pour himself wine and drink wine. That would be like a straightforward scenario. Continue. Actually, from the beginning, the whole sentence. If at the time of he erroneously recited Borepricho Geffen blessing, right? He intended to drink other wine as well, or other wine as well. He should take the wine immediately. I apologize, I missed the word other wine as well. He should take the wine immediately, drink it, so that the blessing should not be recited in vain. I apologize. So two wines. So he had two wines. One let's say he made the blessing on white wine, and it was only, I'm just making up the story, right? Only little left in the bottle, and he said, okay, I have another bottle in my refrigerator of red wine. So if he said this blessing like by mistake, since he already said the blessing on the white wine, it was covered. So that's I missed one word, and it changes the whole story. So he said Borepri Geffen on a beer. So he smelled it is a beer, put it down. He went to refrigerator, take this red wine that was not originally covered. He poured himself wine, and now can drink wine, no problem. Okay, so continue. If he did not recite second Borepricho Geffen, even though there was a pause following the blessing longer than Kidei Dibur, timed Kidei Dibur. So as long as he did not interrupt by speaking, as we said before. So in this case, in case of necessity, so you can remain silent. How long you can remain silent? That's a different story. I think a very long time. So if you still concentrated on the blessing, so it's actually you can remain silent for a long time. But if you spoke only one word, that's it. So your blessing is gone. So commentaries say, uttering even a single word, here we go, not related to the blessing or the meal consideration, is a meal considered interruption. See Mishnah Brura 6:12. Okay, so let's read and I'm going to explain. Even saying Baruch ki Hashem kivot malchuso le'olam va'ed, blessed is the name a glorious kingdom for all eternity, normally said when one recites Hashem's blessing in vain, constitute interruption here. So if person say blessing, wrong blessing, and then he keeps silent, as we said, it's not interruption. So he said blessing, but did not start drinking or eating. But if he would say something pertaining to the meal, not to the meal, like he said, please bring me the bottle of red wine from this and this place. So after the fact. So since it is actually was pertaining to this blessing, so it's not considered to be speech. So, right, that's a different story. It's a very interesting topic. Continue. So okay, so now Kitzur says, see above Siman 50, see 4 and 5. So commentary saying, see 4. There Kitzur discusses law pertaining to one who recited a blessing on a food but was unable to partake of it. Okay. And CF5, he rules that although initially one may not wait more than time of Kidei Dibur, this 1 to 2 seconds, between recited blessing and eating food. Nevertheless, one who did wait is not required to repeat the blessing, as long as did not interrupt the speech. So, and it could be maybe even half an hour. I mean, I'm just making up, but if he did not interrupt the speech, and he was like paying attention, like intended to eat this food or drink this drink, so no problem. Continue. And even if he first took taste from the cup, very interesting, and by tasting it became aware that it's water or beer, nevertheless, it is not considered interruption after the fact. So commentary is, let's see commentary, and I'll be going to explain. Thus, he should drink wine immediately, so that the Borei Pri Geffen blessing should not be recited in vain. So this is big Hiddush. This is big Hiddush, which is what he said the Borei Pri Geffen on a cup that he thought is wine, and he tasted. So a little sip, he realized that it is beer, let's say, and there is wine in front of him. Like we simplify the scenario. He can drink the wine, no problem. So this tasting of a little beer is not considered to be an interruption. So interruption only in speech. With regard to Kiddush, there is what to do after reciting Kiddush. One realized that the cup of Kiddush contained beverage other than wine. Siman 77. Okay, so join us for Siman 77 when we get to it. So if he said Borei Pri Geffen on a cup, but it was not wine, but actually something else. Oh, also possible, could be beer. Okay. So it's very, very interesting case. Okay. Any questions on what we said or on any topic?